Hi there, and welcome to Tech Talk from Caldo Cinema. My name is Aaron, and the last time we did this, I was talking about, well, what I'm talking on right now, the MacBook Air M2, which turned out to be a fantastic investment, and we'll do a review on that later in the future. Well, really more of an update because we've kind of done the whole review on it, and spoiler alert, it's going to be pretty positive. Now, I am here in Morocco, and one of the first things for somebody like me that's a cinephile is I want to get the correct television, and that is not always as easy as you think. There are different types of TVs that are here. They'll have some that are kind of imported from Europe that you will know from North America, and there are some that are made in like kind of not in-house really, but in around this area. So whereas in you talk about the C1 and C2 LG TVs, 10 the OLEDs basically they're the top of the mid-range television that you're looking for when it comes to like a good cinema experience. A lot of times, if you're looking here, those tend to be harder to find. They're imported. They go to stock really fast. So they have kind of a waypoint between that, which is a LG CS. Now a CS is pretty much it's not a C2. It doesn't work with the like Evo panels. It's pretty much like the remnants of the C1 with maybe a little bit of the C2 put in there, but it's mostly going to be like kind of a C1, but just CS in the name of it, as opposed to what you would be looking for. Now, when I was looking for a TV, I do have an Xbox Series X, so for me, HDMI 2.1 was something that I wanted to have. So I wanted to have HDMI 2.1. I wanted to have both HDR10 and Dolby Vision and Atmos support. I don't have a Dolby Atmos sound system right now, but it is something that I want to get in the future. And in order to do that, you want to make sure that you've got like a TV that supports it in the first place. Now, around here, especially if you're getting a Samsung or something like that, which tend to be very prevalent, then you're going to see a lot of like QLEDs and now QNEDs basically, which is kind of LG's kind of pushback on the QLED televisions, or the basically the Neo QLEDs that are out now. But the big thing that you're going to be looking for is you want something that's going to have like support for something that you're going to use it for. Now, if you are not a gamer or if you're not worried about future proofing, you know, maybe the HDMI 2.1 may not be something that concerns you. But I'm someone that if I buy something, I want it to last for a while, and I do not want to be looking to upgrade within the next year or so. That being said, when I looked at things, there were certain things and criteria that I had in mind. Aside from the HDMI 2.1, I decided that I wanted to go with the OLEDs televisions because I wanted something that was going to have a good black level. Especially for me, I do watch a lot of like creepy, scary movies. And if you're a horror fan, especially in the times of like, it's October, guys, it's Halloween, there's a lot of these movies. You don't want to have your blacks kind of crushing or gray or some kind of like pixelated, like archived ununiformity with the way that your TV works. You're gonna want something that has some like some decent black levels, especially if you're watching things like Halloween or Noche de Summer or some of the other kind of darker ones that are going to use kind of an inkier black, especially if you got a good 4K like a player or even like an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. So those things that was important to me. Now QLED is getting there, and QNED is it's getting closer to there, but it's still LED at the end of the day. So you're still working with a backlit, and it is working with kind of mini LEDs. People wonder now about burn in when it comes to the OLED television sets. That's not such a big deal right now as it was when the OLED started out. Now when it was because basically when you're looking at OLED, it's a different type of technology than your LCD or LED television. It pretty much refreshes pixel by pixel. But early OLED televisions had the issue of kind of like a burn-in. So basically, if you had a computer hooked up to your television set or a gaming system, and there was something that was on the screen for a long period of time, or you just left it for a while, then you could often find that you could find sometimes that it would that the image would kind of burn in a bit, would kind of ghost. So you'd have a ghost image on the usually on the side of your screen, because that's usually where you'd see like a display like that. Now that hasn't been the case overall for a long period of time. That being said, I recommend if you're watching a TV with an OLED or you're gaming or anything like that, you just I'd still say in moderation. I'd like you can still probably game around like 6 hours or so without ever even have to worry about that if you ever have to in the first place. So we looked at some other stuff. We looked at some A2s which came out this year, and we looked at some of the last generation A1s. We kind of like were mad on those as well, like because we did want to stick with LG. We went with there was LG, Samsung was very prevalent here, and we looked at there's not much Sony. Sony doesn't have a lot of TVs like space in Morocco, or at least not in the area that we live. So we had LG, we had Samsung, and what was the other one we had? There was a third.
High sense.
There was a Hisense, and it wasn't a bad Hisense either. Hisense often gets like unfortunately shoved in with some of the kind of the lower end priced not so good televisions. But if you're on a budget, just make sure that you do a bit of research to see exactly which Hisense that you want to get, because you want something that's going to check those marks. So if you're like me and you game a bit and you're going to be watching movies a lot, then your best option is probably going to be an OLED, and then you're looking towards an LG. They started it. They're the masters of it. Now you can get OLEDs from Samsung and from Sony now, something that you could not in the past. Basically, all those other technologies like QLED and micro LED and all that was basically a pushback at OLED, which was kind of reigning supreme. It still is, and they've kind of come to the aspect of like they're starting to do it now. It was very proprietary at first, and but you can get them now in different brands. LG just tends to pretty much be the master of it, because that's what they do. It's kind of like you expect Sony to put out a good like 4K disc or Blu-ray disc, because Sony kind of they're the inventors, they're the masters of that technology. Same thing with LG. You expect them to do a good OLED, but still always do your research. So when you're looking for a television set, just make sure that you look at the size of the screen. That's going to be very important to you. If you're looking to get a 4K player and you're looking for something in 4K, if you've got like a smaller place, I'd say a 55-inch is definitely good enough. If you've got a larger viewing area though, 65 and plus is considered the standard for 4K watching, because that's when you really get you get the kind of the scope of what you're seeing. A lot of people will get like a 48-inch or a 40-inch TV, and they get a 4K one, and they'll get a good picture, but they'll say, I don't really see the difference. And sometimes it is a little bit harder to see the difference, because you're looking at like what you're viewing at space is, like how far you are from the television, how big the TV is. And always remember, like the other thing to look into is, because I'm an audiophile as well, is sound. So sound is gonna be really important when it comes to these TVs. I recommend that you start out with the TV, see how the space is itself before you go right out and buy the sound bar. But more than likely, you're probably going to get, with a modern television set, you're probably going to need to get some sort of sound bar or sound system down the road, because modern day TVs are made for to have a sound system. So whereas like the older TVs, there was no such thing as a set. Well, there was sound systems if you hooked up your speakers, or you were lucky enough to get one of those really expensive sound systems. They were pretty much made for consumer straight out of the box. A lot of TVs right now. Now I'm in an area where there's great reverb in the area. So I've got a kind of a placeholder right there, a Samsung television. That's right, it's a 55-inch. 4K in 2018, so it's an older TV, but the sound on it is really, really good, and it's because of the way that the area is. on this right here. So if you've got the area where basically the sound is going to be good, you may not need to grab, spend the extra bucks on a Dolby Atmos or even like a Samsung or a Sonos right away. It's something that you can probably wait on. Like I knew when I went in, when I initially went in, I thought, okay, I'm going to need to get a sound system, just to make the sound good. But after like viewing the TV here for a while and knowing that the way that the sound works here, I knew it was something that I could easily wait on for a while down the road. But if your place is done differently, then just make sure that you go for exactly what you want. And with all that being said, I'm not going to tell you what I chose until it actually gets delivered. So it is supposed to be delivered here tomorrow. And so there's going to be a second part of this video. There's one little neat thing I'm just going to add on. So basically, the place that we got it at, they gave us a really good deal, but they really wanted to shove in like an extra, like not a paid extra. They had like promos that they were giving away for when you bought like a TV. So they offered like a toaster, and I'm like, but we got it like toaster oven and stuff like that. So we ended up with this. And what is this? It's kind of not the greatest speakers actually. So this is a headset. It's a Samsung Level U2, which is a mediocre headset at best, but it was free. Who am I to not accept something free? And they were really kind of like, they were really pushing these things for there. And there was no extra cost for this. This was just something that they were giving as a promo. It was this or a toaster? And I said, maybe I'll get some use out of this listening to some music, dancing around the house, because I got a headset on. But I don't think it's going to take the place of my earbuds anytime in the near future. Anyway, this has been, let's hope it works. This has been Tech Talk with Aaron. I'll see you soon here in the Call to Cinema, where we'll be doing a part 2, and we will see exactly the TV that I did choose. And I'll show you the TV, and you'll get to see exactly why I made that decision. See you soon.